the Fat Man in Murder and the Peacock.
The Brunson Insurance Company specialized in fire and theft. They'd insure almost anything. But occasionally they got hit and hit hard in spite of the persistence of old man Brunson, president of the company. I'd done a lot of work for them from time to time, so I wasn't surprised when I got a call asking me to drop in. I was surprised when I was told the old man himself wanted to see me. I usually dealt with somebody in the investigation department. It was 10 a.m. when I was ushered into the office of the president. Bronson sat at the big desk in the corner, his fingers beating a nervous tattoo on the arm of his chair. He glanced up as I came in and waved me to a seat.
Sit down, Runyon. I suppose you're wondering why I called you personally.
That is a little unusual.
This is an unusual case, Runyon, and a very important one in this company. Did you ever hear of Solomon's rope?
The matched jade necklace stolen from the Mavis family 15 years ago?
Yes. I don't know whether you know it or not, but this company had insured the necklace for $300,000.
Yeah, and you paid off on it.
Exactly. If you remember, the Mavis home was robbed by a gang of gunmen led by a man named Jack Kelly.
The first of the Dillinger breed.
That's right. The necklace was part of the loot. Less than 3 weeks later, the FBI trapped the gang. And in the gunfight that followed, killed most of them, including Kelly. The entire loot from the Mavis robbery was recovered, except for the necklace known as Solomon's rope. It was never found.
I thought the police figured Kelly broke it down and got rid of it stone by stone before the FBI closed with him.
I'm not the police, Runyon. I'm a businessman. $300,000 represents a tremendous investment to this company. Besides, I think the police were wrong in their theory.
Why?
Look at it this way. Kelly was just a gunman with more nerve than brains. The FBI was closing in on him. He didn't have much time. He had plenty of ready cash. Why would he take the trouble to get rid of the necklace stone by stone? I think he liked it and hid it someplace. Maybe he thought he'd give it to some girlfriend.
15 years is a long time, Mr. Brunson. Why the sudden interest?
Well, I'm coming to that. If you remember, there were 2 members of Kelly's gang who weren't with the rest when the G-men closed in. One was a little weasel-faced fellow named Tucker Malone.
I remember. They caught him 2 days later hiding in a flop house in Chicago.
That's right. And the other missing member was a girl named Kitty Cassidy. They didn't know too much about her and never did catch her. She's still missing.
You think this Kitty Cassidy got the necklace?
No. She hadn't been with the gang long, and she wasn't Kelly's girl. I don't think she would have known where Kelly hid it, but I do think Tucker Malone might know.
He got life, didn't he?
Yes, but his sentence was commuted. He was released from prison 3 days ago.
And now you think he'll go after the necklace?
Exactly.
It seems to me you missed a bet on not having somebody pick up his trail when he got out. He might be hard to find by now.
Oh, I did that purposely. I didn't want to arouse his suspicions. Now, do you think you can find him?
I can try.
Good. And you'll take the job?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Runyon, I might add that there is a $10,000 reward posted by this company for the return of the necklace.
And so, with his head bowed deep in thought, the fat man solved another case.
Very funny, very funny. Now, listen, Charlie, I'm busy.
Sure. What are you doing? Posing for an overweight version of the Thinker?
If you're looking for a story, go down to Knight's Court. You won't get any byline here.
Already I got a story. And what a story. You like to hear it?
Go write it. I'll read it in the morning edition of that tabloid you work for.
I haven't got the ending yet. That's why I came to see you.
I'm not a storyteller. I'm a detective.
Precisely, my dear Watson. Which brings me to the purpose of my visit. I want to hire a detective. Out of my own pocket, I want to hire a detective.
I hate to miss that, but I told you I was busy. Now beat it and let me alone.
Ever hear of Solomon's rope?
Maybe I'm not as busy as I thought.
I'm your employer, then?
Well, let's have the story first.
Last night, in the course of my duties as an ace reporter, I happened to stop in a little beer joint over on 3rd Avenue.
That's no novelty.
A man was standing at the bar, and he was very drunk. I couldn't place him, but the face was mighty familiar. It made me think of sweet, bygone memories. Black touring cars with curtains, Straight homemade gin and Tommy guns without khaki uniforms.
And that made you think of Jack Kelly and then of Click. The guy was Tucker Malone.
Yeah. So you know he's out.
I get around, too. What happened after you recognized him?
Well, I remembered the necklace, Solomon's rope, and how it had never turned up. Right in my lap was the only guy in the world who might know where it was. And he was drunk. What a story if I could get it.
Yeah.
He didn't know me from Adam. I bought him a couple of drinks and finally got him out of the place. Then I tried to pump him.
Did he talk?
Well, not much. He was awful drunk. But just before he passed out, he did say something. I can't make anything out of it, but, well, maybe you can.
What did he say?
He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "You're the first real pal I ever had. I'm gonna make you rich, pal." I shook him and said, "Well, when? How?" He stared at me a minute and then he said, "The old guy raises peacocks. Try that for me, will you, pal?"
Peacock?
Well, that's what he said.
What do you think he was talking about?
Beats me. Maybe he was seeing peacocks instead of pink elephants. I like that part about making me rich, though. I think he meant the necklace.
What do you want me to do?
Listen, that guy's valuable. He's the lead sentence to the story of the year, and I want that story. There may be others who want the necklace. I want to hire you to protect him until I get him to talk. And what do you say?
I take it you know where Malone is.
I'll say I know. I wasn't taking any chances. He's under lock and key in my apartment, sleeping off his drunk right now. In here.
You'd better make some coffee for Malone.
That's a good idea.
You haven't got a girl hidden in here, too, have you?
Girl? Well, of course not. Why?
Perfume, smell it. Constant love.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, that's funny.
Where's the bedroom?
Oh, that door over there.
Come on.
Hey, look at Malone. Cute, huh? Sleeping like a baby.
Yeah. He's sleeping like a baby, all right. A dead baby.
Dead?
Bullets, 3 of them. They weren't taking any chances.
Well, who could have... Hey, you don't think I did it?
I don't know.
But I didn't, Brad, I swear. I told you I left him here sleeping it off. Well, why would I kill him? He was my story. That perfume. It must have been a girl. She came here and...
maybe. You're in a jam, Charlie.
I didn't kill him.
No, I don't think you did, but I'll have to call the cops.
No, wait a minute, Brad. I'm in a spot. You said so yourself. I really need a detective now for myself. I gotta find this guy's murderer. You're still hired if you want the job. This is just the beginning of this thing.
I think you're right about that.
Oh, give me a break then. Let me knock out a story on this. I'll have a clean scoop. I'll call the cops the minute I turn my story in.
Okay, Charlie.
Thanks.
You're sure nobody came up here with you last night except Malone?
What do you mean?
The perfume. No girl came with you?
I've told you the truth, Brad. So help me I have.
I hope so. Go ahead and write your story, but make it fast. And don't touch anything in this bedroom. When you're finished, call Lieutenant Mackenzie at headquarters and tell him the truth. I left the reporter alone with the dead man and drove to my office. All the way downtown, Malone's last words kept running through my head. The old guy raises peacocks. Tie that one for me, will you, pal? A drunk's dream or the key to something? In this business, you can't afford to pass up anything, not even a drunk's dream. So somebody raises peacocks. It was just noon when I parked the car and went up to the office. I opened the door and smelled it. The same perfume. Constant love. The girl sat carelessly in the client's chair, one slim leg crossed over the other. I noticed her eyes. You'd always notice her eyes first. They were black. Blacker than the inside of a coffin at midnight. And they caught the light like agates. She motioned slightly with a small, flat automatic pistol in her right hand.
Kick the door closed with your foot and try to touch the ceiling with those big, strong arms, fat man.
What movie did you step out of, beautiful?
All right, wise guy. This gun has 6 bullets in it. According to my figures, your gun, if you still got it with you, has only 3. I want it. Now turn around.
Somehow you don't strike me as the constant love type.
Never mind that. Now I'll take the gun. Nice rod. No powder smell. Wrong guess number 1 for little kitty. Loaded and hasn't been fired. Must have been the newsboy.
Charlie didn't kill Malone, beautiful, and neither did I. We sort of thought you did.
You think I look like the kind of sap that would kill the goose that lays the golden egg?
If the goose had quit laying, yeah.
Take your necktie off, fat man.
It's not hot.
That's what you think. Now off with it. Throw it on the chair. Now open your shirt.
Why, the striptease, beautiful.
A necklace is made to wear around a neck. Even a neck as big as yours.
Smart girl, but wrong guess number 2 for little Kitty.
Yeah, well, let's stop guessing, huh? Where is it, fat man?
I don't know.
This gun's got a silencer, and I'm not kidding.
Shoot, sweetheart. I wouldn't tell you even if I knew.
You got a nerve. I like guys with nerve.
I don't like girls with guns. What made you add my name to this party?
That's easy. I've been waiting 14 years to talk to Malone. When he came out, I told him.
He must have led you to some interesting places.
He did. I saw the newsboy pick Malone up last night. I tailed him to his apartment. Malone was loaded, and I knew he wouldn't move until late today. I came back this morning and paid a call. The reporter was gone, Malone was dead, and the necklace was missing. It wasn't hard to figure, so I hung around outside and waiting. I saw you and the newsboy come in. That gave me ideas, so I came to your office to wait.
How did you know me?
Why, Mr. Runyon, haven't you heard? You're a celebrity. You like it?
It makes sense.
Better sense than yours in the reporter's story. Now turn around and face the wall. Time to travel. Sorry, but I'll have to keep your gun. Maybe we'll meet again.
I can hardly wait.
You know, for a fat man, you wouldn't look at all bad in a bathing suit.
Okay, sweetheart. Lock the door. Have it your way. Operator, I'm in a hurry. Get me to the city zoo. Yeah, that's right, the zoo. Quite a girl. I hate to have her for my first date. Hello, City Zoo. I'd like to know the name of anybody who raises peacocks within 100 miles of this city. Good afternoon, Mrs. Jarvis.
Why, yes. How did you know? Land sakes, it's getting cold, ain't it?
Yes, it is.
And I just told George, he's my husband, George, I just told him that he was foolish to go out without a coat, but he won't let those peacocks alone. Won't you come in?
Thanks.
I reckon that's what you come about, ain't it? The peacocks.
As a matter of fact, it is.
Sit down, Mr.
Runyon.
Sit down, Mr. Runyon. George will be in a minute. My, I never saw the like of it.
What?
All the peacock buyers coming at once. Here we go along, raising them for years, and nobody wants them. And then, in less than a week, 2 of you fellas show up to buy. That's what you're here for, ain't it?
Yes, that's it. Of course, I want to look them over pretty well.
That's just what the other fella said, too.
I always like to know what my competitors are doing. I was just wondering who this other fellow was.
I don't rightly remember his name, but George might. He was a little fellow with an awful pale face. Looked like he'd never seen the sun. Let's see now. It was the day the barn caught fire.
The barn caught fire?
Yes. It happened while that little peacock buyer was here. We was all mighty busy putting it out, I can tell you. That was just 2 days ago.
This is a nice old house you have here, Mrs. Jarvis.
Yes, it's real homey.
Lived here all your life?
Oh, land sakes, no. George bought this place about 10 years ago.
You never know what you might find in an old house like this.
Ain't it the truth?
Antiques and things.
Oh, it's funny you're saying that. I found something very peculiar in this house right after we moved in.
You did?
Yes. George don't like for me to talk about it. He says it might not be good publicity.
What did you find, Mrs. Jarvis?
Guns, Mr. Runyon. 5 of them, all loaded up. They was under the floor in the kitchen.
Guns?
Oh, lots of folks don't know it, but this house was headquarters for some gangsters in the old days.
You don't say?
Yes, sir. What do you think of that?
That's very interesting. You never found anything else, did you?
No, not a thing. Some folks think there's a loot hidden here somewhere on the place, but we ain't never seen any of it. Oh, here comes George. Now, don't let on I told you about the gun. He don't like my talking so much.
Maggie, where was that?
Come in, George. This here is Mr. Runyon. He's another one of those peacock buyers. He wants to look at your birds.
I ain't interested in selling my peacocks, mister.
Why, George, what on earth are you...
You heard me, Maggie. I ain't interested. So you might just as well run along, mister.
But, George, you know very well
I
that
said
you...
no.
Do you mind if I just look at them?
Yes, I do mind. I told you I ain't interested in selling, so why look at them? I don't want no more buyers coming around here, so you can get.
George Jarvis, you must have lost your
I
mind.
know what I'm doing. I ain't selling my peacocks, and I ain't showing them to anybody either. And that's final.
Hey, Brad, where you been anyway? I've been looking all over town for you.
I was in the country, Mac, seeing a man about some peacocks.
Peacocks? Look, Brad, I thought you and me were friends. That news hound says you were with him when he found the body.
That's right.
Well, why didn't you report it? You know the
Calm down, Mac. I gave Charlie a break because he gave me one.
Yeah, I'll say you gave him a break. The paper's already in the street when he calls up nice as pie and says, I've got a murder for you, Lieutenant. I'm surprised he didn't wait for me to read it in the paper.
Maybe he doesn't think you can read.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting the heat on Charlie Blake. I think he killed Malone.
Quit acting like a kid, Mac.
I mean it. I think that news hound did it just to get a good story. I'd pull him in on suspicion if it weren't for the paper. They already made a big enough sap out of me.
Now you're using your head again. Why don't you ask me about the peacocks?
Yeah, what were you doing in the country, and what about the peacocks?
The farmer doesn't want to sell them anymore.
What are you talking about?
Solomon's rope. Remember it?
Oh, so that's why Malone was knocked off.
I think so.
But Kelly broke that necklace up and got rid of it before the FBI got him.
I don't think he did.
Why not?
Because I think I found the place where Kelly hid it.
Where? Is that what you mean about the peacocks?
Right. A farm up near Statesville that Kelly used as a hideout once. A farmer and his wife live there now, and the farmer raises peacocks. I've got a hunch the necklace is still there.
Ah, but that doesn't make sense. Malone must have had the necklace. Why else would he be killed?
I think I know.
You're crazy. Besides, we got a tip that Kitty Cassidy was in town. She's been missing for years and was one of the old Kelly mob. She must have done in Malone and got the jade.
She's in town, all right, with a gun of her own and one of mine.
Yours? What happened, Brad?
She dropped in to see me, made me do a striptease, and took my gun.
Well, that's one for the book. Why'd she do that?
She thought I had the necklace. She didn't have it, and she came after Malone was killed. Where's Blake now?
In his office at the newspaper, I guess.
Come on. We've got to see him right away. I hope Blake's in his apartment.
Yeah, there's a light under his door. See, he knows the game's up and he's stalling. Come on, put your shoulder against this door and heave.
You don't need your shoulder. It's unlocked.
All right, Blake, don't try to...
Put your gun away, Mac. Somebody else got to Blake first.
Dead?
Yeah. But not long.
The girl. He did have the necklace, and she got it away from him.
I think the girl killed him, but she didn't get the necklace. Come on, Mac. We haven't got much time.
Where are we going?
Back to that peacock farm.
Who's there?
Who's that? Jarvis' wife. Open the door, Mrs. Jarvis.
Why, Mr. Runyon, what in the world are you doing here at this time of night? I've never seen such goings on. Decent folks ought to be in bed.
Where's your husband?
Why, he's gone out to show his peacocks to... who's this other fellow, Mr. Runyon?
He's a friend of mine.
Oh, well, I just never saw anything like it. First the little man, and then you, and now tonight that girl.
Girl?
Why, yes. She come about a half an hour ago. We was all ready for bed. I thought you must be crazy wanting to see them birds at this hour. I said to George, them peacocks must be mighty all fired important all of a sudden.
Did he take her out to look at the peacock?
Yes, and they've been out there for the last...
Come on, Max.
Why, Mr. Runyon, what's the matter? Where are you going?
To see your husband.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's mighty dark out there, and I...
What's it mean, Brad?
The girl's after the necklace, of course. I'm still here. We better hurry.
You think the girl's going to try and knock off the farmer?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see anything out here, can you?
That dark building off to the left, the Peacock Pen and House. That's where they must be.
Hold it, Brad.
What's the matter?
Over there in the other direction. That other big building. Just saw a light flash over there.
That's the barn. They must be in there. Come on. You got a flashlight, Max?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, here it is. Hold it a second.
I don't hear anything.
That's all right. Let's go in. Jarvis.
It's gone.
Turn the light around, Max.
No, there's nothing in here.
Wait a minute. Shine it back there on that pile of hay again. I thought I saw something.
Oh, it's just an old shoe.
The shoe, all right, Max. A girl's shoe, and the owner is still wearing it. Look.
Dead. Is that...
It's Kitty.
Strangled with a piece of twine.
Yeah. There's your murderer, Mac the farmer. He killed Malone and this girl.
But Blake, he couldn't have killed him.
No, Kitty killed Blake because she thought he had the necklace. When she didn't find it, she must have suspected the farmer of killing Malone.
But why?
Don't you get it? The farmer found the necklace. He had it all along. He knew Malone was after it. He probably followed him back to town, waited his chance, and killed him.
Hey, what's that?
The peacock screaming. Somebody's in the pen. Come on.
But the peacocks, what are they...
I don't know. That was a shotgun. It came from the peacock pen. Hurry, Mac. Here's the pen.
He's gone.
Look! They're on the ground, Mac.
A dead peacock.
He shot it.
Why?
I think I know now. Come on. He's running off through that field with one of the birds. He probably broke the bird's neck to shut it up. He's not too far ahead.
Yeah, but it's so dark it'll be hard to see. Right. Hey, the shotgun again. What could he be shooting now if he's killed the bird already?
I don't know, but... Look, Mac. Over there in the field near the fence.
I can't see it.
Give me that light. There, now do you see?
The farmer. Yeah, but what happened to him? He must have fallen.
He fell all right. Look there.
Golly, half his head blown off.
He tripped in the dark, and when he fell, the shotgun went off and hit him.
Well, that'll save the state a lot of trouble. What about the peacock he was carrying?
Dead, too. He wrung its neck while he was running.
Yeah, but I don't get it. What did he want with the bird?
This, Mac. Look here where I'm shining the light, here on the bird.
I don't see anything to... Well, I'll be darned.
The necklace. Smart boy, that farmer. What better hiding place could they find than the plumage of a peacock?
How'd he manage it?
Easy. It's strung on the body of the bird and held in place by a piece of wire. The green color of the jade fits in perfectly with the green feathers of the bird.
But why did he shoot the other bird back there?
It was dark. He thought he had the bird with a necklace. He shot it so he could get it off easier. Then he realized he made a mistake. He probably heard us coming and didn't have time to shoot this one. Or maybe he wanted that one remaining shotgun shell to fire it up.
Yeah, but it got him instead. That's irony, isn't it?
Yeah. Wait a second, Max. Until I get this necklace off. There. Come on, let's go.
Well, you got your necklace and I got my murderers, even if they are both dead.
Yeah. And we're each $5,000 richer.
Huh? Hey, what are you talking about?
That's right, Max. There's a $10,000 reward for the recovery of this necklace. You helped me get it, so I figure you're entitled to half the reward.
Do you mean to say that I'm going to get $5,000 all at once?
Uh-huh. $5,000. I guess you'll be able to... Hey, Mac, what's wrong? Well, I'll be. That's the first time I ever saw a cop faint.
Here is Ted DeCorsia in the Mickey's Filet mystery, That Hammer Guy. Grand Central is as crowded as a Glasgow department store on Trisdale Day. You're broken feeling it through the sardine packed to your train when you're intercepted by somebody's suitcase parked smack in your path, and down you go. You're sprawled out like a frog on a dissecting board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For somebody who belongs to the suitcase is as slick as a European sports car. She's one of the few dames you've seen with that new short haircut who doesn't look like a refugee from an Italian movie.
Oh, I hope you didn't injure anything.
Just my dignity.
I'm really sorry.
Forget it. Those things happen.
Well, if I could have gotten a red cap, it wouldn't have. I suppose I just have to manage myself.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me handle them for you.
Oh, please, I don't want to trouble you.
All my trouble should be like this. What train?
The chief.
Oh, my train, too. So it's no trouble at all.
Well, it's very nice of you.
Here, let me take that one, too.
No, thank you. I can manage it.
But it's the biggest.
No, really, as I said, I can manage.
And she does manage the big piece of luggage all the way to her compartment, and with surprisingly little left. You figure this chick can take care of herself in the clinches. You also figure the trip to Chicago isn't going to be as dull as you expected.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Mike Hammer. And so far, I only know you by the initials on your bag. And I can't go around calling you F.D., can I?
The F is for Fane, the D for Dorado.
Fane?
It means holy.
Fane, nice name. Oh, by the way, my roomette is in the next car.
Oh, that's nice.
Did I say something wrong?
Well, I have no objection. It's just that my husband might.
Oh, Mrs. Dorado.
My husband could be along any moment. He was late. I'm sorry.
Well, look, maybe the three of us can have a drink later in the club car.
No, and it would be better if we should meet again, if you pretend you don't know me.
Later, you're in the club car, putting your own personal brand on a couple of ponies of bourbon. There are some things about this dame that have made you as curious as a small-town gossip. First, that big grip she insisted on carrying herself. Second, the fact that she told you she was Mrs. Dorado when she was traveling with her spouse, when the conductor told you she's Miss Dorado and she's traveling solo. The third thing is the swarthy, chunky guy in the gray snap-brim hat. He's tailed you since you left Fane's compartment. And, except to order a drink, he hasn't taken his eye off. When the curiosity gets to itch like a rash, you go back to her compartment.
Yeah?
Is this Fane Dorado's compartment?
That's right. What about it?
Well, is she here?
She's here.
Well, I want to talk to her.
Well, go ahead. Talk.
Huh?
I'm Fane Dorado. You said you want to talk to me, so talk.
For all you know, this dame could be Fane Dorado, but she sure isn't the one you helped, even though they could pass the system. Now your curiosity is itching more than ever. You start back for the club car to have a meet with the swarthy guy in a gray hat, but you only get as far as the platform. Every sound has a meaning all its own, and the crack of a gunshot has its own special meaning of disaster. When you get back to the compartment, you find the woman you talked to a minute ago. You find her sprawled out on the seat. This time, she has nothing to say. This time, she's dead. Now the twists start coming as fast as a souped-up jalopy. You can't find the swarthy guy. You can't locate the original Fame Dorado. When you get back to your roomette, that big grip of hers is on the chair. When you get it open, you find out that it has nothing but paper in it. But paying paper, the currency of the realm.
You don't have to count it, Mr. Hammer. It adds up to exactly 100,000.
When you swing around, you come face to face with the first Fame Dorado and the nasty nickel-plated automatic she points at.
I'm sure I don't have to warn you not to move.
I guess so, considering the corpse in your compartment.
If you think I did it, you're wrong.
You can't prove it by me.
She was killed by mistake. I'm the one who's supposed to be dead. They're after me.
You arranged for her to take your place, is that it?
Yes, but I didn't think they'd kill. I was just playing for time.
To get away with this dough?
That should be obvious now.
It should also be obvious you're going to have a tough sledding from here on in. Maybe impossible without help.
Meaning?
You've been around. You don't need a floor plan.
Now, why should you help me?
We're what you might call kindred souls. Two minds with but a single thought.
The money.
Like I said, you don't need a floor plan. And I can use 50% of that dough.
Well, you're asking an awful lot.
You don't figure a life is worth $50,000?
I guess this is no time to bargain.
A deal?
All right, a deal. I suppose you want to know where the money came from?
Well, partners shouldn't keep secrets from each other, should they?
I'm sort of a traveling woman for the syndicate. My job is to make certain stops and deliver cash.
For payoff?
Yes, but the work started to bore me.
And you figure there's no reason for all that money to go to other people. It could just as well be yours, you figure. One big killing in your sight.
You come to the right conclusions quickly.
How else would I get along? And after the big killing, it's going to be safe in sunny Mexico for you.
How'd you know that?
The Mexican visa in the grip.
You get around.
Like I
I
said.
know. How else would you get along? You didn't tell me what your business is ordinarily.
Ordinary business, odd jobs here and there, depending on how much they interest. This $50,000 caper is very interesting, I think.
It can be more dangerous than interesting, Mr. Hammer.
Well, every business is a gamble, I figure. And as long as we're in this business together, suppose you call me Mike and I'll call you Pink.
Call me anything you like, just as long as we dissolve our business at the Mexican border. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah. Now that we have a good understanding, one more thing.
Which is?
Get that gun out of my face. A thing like that between us doesn't make for a very sound or trusting partnership. You're in it up to your ears, and you're staying in till the bottom line is reached. There's a killer loose, and you figure he's not stopping until he gets that 100,000 and Fame Dorado. And now you're added to his list. The swarthy guy in the gray hat, the guy you pinpointed the killer, doesn't show up again. From Chicago, you and Fane fly to Brownsville, Texas. No sign of the swarthy guy at the Brownsville airport either. But Fane is as jumpy as a gun-shy hound on a firing range.
Mike, you're positive he didn't follow us here?
Absolutely.
But he could have.
Look, will you stop worrying? We're okay. He couldn't have.
Fane!
What?
Fane, honey. Well, of all the folks to run into in this little old corral.
What?
Now, don't tell me you don't remember old George.
George Mitchell.
None other, honey. Oh, long time no see. How many years has it been? Oh, 10, I said. Oh, you're looking prettier than ever. What, you talk about a small world.
Yeah.
How's the family? Your brother Fred and your pa?
They're fine, George. Just fine.
Oh, yes, yes, a small world. Just happened to be here to see an old friend off, and who do I run into but you? Now, this gentleman couldn't be your husband, could he?
No, George. This is Mike Hammer, business associate.
Well, pleased to meet you, sir. Mighty pleased to meet you.
Thanks, Mr. Mitchell.
Oh, just call me George. Everybody calls me George. Friendly state this Texas of ours, you know. Mighty friendly as the Union.
Yeah, I've heard.
Well, nice seeing you, George. We've got to be going.
Going?
We have a reservation at the hotel, and there's some business we have to take care of.
Now, honey, there ain't no kind of business that can't wait.
Well, this can it, Mike?
Oh, that's well, now, you look here, Fane Dorado. No friend of mine is going to be holed up in any hotel room. No, sir. Not while I got that big empty house of mine.
But, George,
No, but...
we're only staying
I
overnight.
got a house big enough to hold a rodeo in. So you're not bedding down in any hotel, even for just one night. No, sir.
It's very nice of you, George, but...
Look, I want to show off to you, Fane, honey, and show you what a mistake you made 10 years ago when you turned me down. Maybe you'll change your mind now, huh? Just wait till you see that house of mine. Just you wait.
Well, I'd really love to, George, but Mike wouldn't hear of it, I'm sure.
Oh, Fane, you just don't turn down Texan hospitality.
But the reservation.
Ah, don't you worry about that. George Mitchell will take care of everything. You just leave everything to old George, huh? He knows how to handle things.
I wouldn't bet against it. You sound like a guy who gets along.
Well, I gotta admit, I'm eating pretty regular. And you know how I did it, Fane, honey. You'd never guess. All right. That's how little old George did it all with fine art. You paint? Me paint? Well, I can't even draw a straight line. I've got myself an art gallery 5 years ago, and it's the biggest in the Southwest now. You know anything about art, Mike? Well, you've got to see this here collection of mine. Maybe it ain't 57th Street, New York, but it's got a fast turnover, and that's what counts in any business, huh?
Every time.
Oh, by the way, Fane, what's your line?
Well,
Luggage, George. Fane and I are very much in luggage. George Mitchell's joint is big, all right. All Texan and 100 yards wide. You're surprised the floors aren't carpeted with wall-to-wall money. Like the rest of the place, your bed is king-size and comfortable, but you can't enjoy the plushiness of it. You keep thinking about the thin slab other people might be sleeping on. People like that dame who was killed on the train. The dame sleeping permanently on a morgue slab. Early the next morning, you knock on Fane's door. When there's no answer, you walk in. She's not there. And you don't have to take a second look around to know that she didn't even sleep there. You go to his art gallery to wait for him and you browse around. Like everything else, the gallery itself is oversized. You're only there a couple of minutes when this guy sidles up to you.
Now that is what I call a picture.
He's gawking at a Renoir.
Ain't she a beaut?
She's all right.
All right. You blind or something?
Not when it comes to that picture over there.
That Lautrec character? Nothing.
Well, like the man said, everybody to his own taste.
That Lautrec had taste in his mouth with those pictures of beat-up bags he all the time painted. No class, just dames. Dance-hall bimbos.
Well, how come you're such an expert?
How come? Well, you know how it is. With some guys, it's living dolls. With others, it's the bank tale. Me, I'm the sensitive type. My pals don't call me Van Gogh for nothing, you know.
And if the artist didn't paint women?
They all paint dames, friend, the good ones. Only some of them really got the know-how.
Such as Renoir?
Such as. None of this modern Picasso stuff. All skin and bones and three heads. Give me the old-fashioned girls every time.
The classic type.
Every time. You gotta remember, taste like mine has to be cultivated. It don't grow on trees, you know. It just don't happen all by itself. You gotta get around, see things. You just remember that, friend.
When he gives you that final piece of advice, you remember something, but not about art. You remember this guy. He isn't wearing any gray snap-brim hat now, but he's the swarthy guy who tails you on the train.
See any art annual, friend?
You tail him when he walks down. He's standing on a corner waiting for a light to change. You're in the middle of the block getting set to cross over. You're just stepping off the curb when from out of nowhere this car comes at you like a shot out of a cannon. You jump back and scramble up on the sidewalk. You have the satisfaction of getting the plate number of the car. But when you look around, the swarthy guy is as scarce as an air conditioning salesman in a Yukon. You do a checkout on the license plate number. It's in the name of a Walter Hill. You go to the address on Beaumont Road. The car's in a garage in the rear of a dilapidated shack. The order was a hot rod. The garage floor is lousy with tools. The red-headed guy is working on the motor, handling it like a mother handles a new baby. Your name, Hill? Walter Hill?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you.
Can't you see I'm busy? Come back some other time. I'm busy.
You were even busier an hour ago downtown on El Paso Boulevard.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about your driving, your fast driving.
Okay, so I drive fast. I like it. What's so wrong about that?
It was too fast for my comfort.
That's my hobby, cuz. Nothing I can't make a car do. You know, some people think cars are for when it's too far to walk.
Look.
Some people don't know what it means to get behind a wheel and really live. Man, that's something. You know, I mean, really something. Just to zip along. Is that something?
But you weren't just zipping along. You were aiming.
You know, you take one of these small jobs and really super up. 65 and second I can do on this cut down, Lizzie. Man, talk about your living.
I'm talking about dying. You were aiming to get me. Now tell me why. Tell me.
Let go.
Tell me.
Let go, will you? I'm just a hot rodder. Town's loaded with them. Go bother one of the others.
You bothered me. Now tell me who put you up to it.
Look, mister, I didn't see you step off the curb.
Not much you didn't. You swung in from the other side of the street. Now, do you want to talk to me, or would you rather talk to the cops downtown?
Okay. But if I tell you, you won't turn me in.
I'll think about it. Let's have it.
Well, this guy gave me $10.
What guy?
I don't know his name. I just got his telephone number. I was supposed to call him when I finished the job.
What's the phone number?
I got it right here in my pocket. Here. It's the number, Hammer. This rod, another kind of hot rod with 6 hot cylinders on it. And this time I'm not missing.
You're doing this for dough.
That guy with the car bug's got expenses. You think these tools don't cost an arm and a leg?
You can afford to tell me who the guy is now.
What good will it do you to know now?
You're a sucker, Hill. You'll have to pay the price tag on this one all by yourself.
I'm not afraid to take chances. I get caught, that's my tough luck. But nobody's going to catch me anyway. It's going to look like another hit-and-run accident. You're going to get hit, and I'm going to run. Get in, Emmett. You're doing the driving. I'll tell you where to go and when to stop.
You slide in behind the wheel.
Man, am I going to have a ball. $100.
$100. Now you know what you're worth on the open market.
This is my best day.
You're worst. Hill starts to get in next to you, but he doesn't make it.
Not lucky.
He falls like a piece of cut string, and he's as lifeless. For a second, you don't know who to thank for your life. Then he comes around the side of the car.
You wouldn't have enjoyed the ride anyway, Hammer.
He's the guy who tailed you on the train. The guy you talked to in the art gallery. The same swarthy guy, except for his manner of speech.
Something bothering you?
Well, I guess I shouldn't look a gift life in the mouth, but the way you talk now...
That was just a pose for Fame Dorado and her friend. I discovered just a while ago, Hammer, that you really weren't one of those friends.
Well, how come you know so much?
I guess this credential card of mine will answer your questions. Detective Sergeant Fred Gallix, Los Angeles. Yeah, I've been on Fame Dorado's tail ever since she made the request for the Mexican visa.
Well, then you know the whole setup, who she's tied in with.
Yeah, I know everything about her and the tie-in with the syndicate, but I don't know who killed that dame on the train.
Well, the way I figure, Fame herself is the key to that.
Yeah, but go locate the key now. For all I know, she could be over the border by this time.
No, she isn't.
I wish I could be that sure.
You can.
But you don't know where to locate her, do you?
Wherever I am, that's where she'll turn up eventually. I guarantee it. You tell Fred Gallix you're going back to George Mitchell's house. He can reach you there. Mitchell's maid tells you that Mitchell hasn't come home yet, and that she hasn't seen Fane at all. So you go up to your room to do some waiting. The second you open the door, though, you know that you won't have any waiting to do.
One more step, Mike, and I'll blow your brains out.
And now, back to the Mickey Spillane mystery, That Hammer Guy.
Just as you figured it, Fame Dorado came back. And even though that nickel-plated gun of hers is shoving its nose in your face, you give out with a big, broad smile.
You'll be smiling on the other side of your face.
You're right, honey. I figured you'd have caught up with me hours ago.
Never mind the jokes, just start digging, and you know what I want you to come up with.
Gee, honest, you got me there.
Stop stalling. I'm in a hurry. Let me have that visa.
Oh, that.
I'm waiting. The visa.
Now, is that a way for partners to act, you pointing a gun at me?
It's just where it's going to stay until you hand over my visa.
You don't think I'm chump enough to have it on me.
Then where is it?
Well, like all good investments, I put it in a safe place, and that's where it's staying, Fane, until I get my share of that dough. Well, partner, what do you say to that?
What's there to say?
Well, you can show your complete understanding by shoving that gun back in the bag.
Satisfied?
Couldn't be happier.
You know, Mike, I gotta hand it to you.
Oh, you will, honey. Every cent of my hat.
That all you think about? Money.
The gun didn't work. Nothing else will either.
All right.
Now, let's have our board of directors meeting to discuss future business.
Make it short.
Well, it'll only take as long as it takes to put that $50,000 in my pocket.
You don't have to worry now. You'll get yours.
Who's worried? I just want to know when we close the books on this corporation.
Tonight, all right?
Suits me. Where?
And there's a warehouse downtown. I'll tell you how to get there in a minute. But you just make sure you bring that visa.
Well, I'll bring it, but you remember your part of the deal. I wouldn't want to lose any of this newfound confidence in my partner.
Don't worry. You can count on me, partner.
Fame Dorado gives you the directions of how to get to your meet with her at the warehouse. After she leaves Mitchell's house, a phone call comes in for you from Fred Gallix.
I'm at the Panhandle Hotel, room 456. Got something hotter than a branding iron. Get her as fast as you can make it.
You rush over to the hotel to meet Fred Gallix, but you don't make it fast enough. By the time you get to his room, he's there all right, but sprawled out on the floor, an ugly slug hole in his back. When you roll his body over, you spot the pencil stub and matchbook cover clutched in his hand. On the inside of the cover, he'd managed to scrawl something. The writing is uneven and interrupted, but its meaning is clear enough. It makes you more itchy than ever for that payoff meet with Fame Dorado at that deserted warehouse.
Come on in, Mike.
I'm sorry I'm late. I hope you didn't worry too much about me.
I knew you'd come.
Thrill is when two partners understand each other like we do.
Let's get on to business.
Well, now, don't rush on my account.
I'm not on your account.
Anxious to get going to Mexico, huh?
If you don't mind.
Why should I? After all, this partnership of ours will be dissolved when we complete this deal.
So let's complete it.
Okay, but you know what they say about haste makes...
You have the visa?
Sure. Deal's a deal, isn't it?
All right, then give it to me.
Now, it's not that I don't trust you, honey, but there's that $50,000 that's supposed to be handed over to me.
I haven't got it.
What?
But it's here.
Huh?
She means I got it, Hammer.
Oh.
I got it right here in the suitcase.
Mitchell.
Life's full of little surprises, isn't it, Mike?
Like I said, the airport's a small world.
You insisted on holding out on my visa.
Can you hate me for protecting my interest?
I can kill you for it.
Now, that gun looks real familiar, Fane.
You know what they say, familiarity breeds contempt.
Mitchell here is sure to find that out, too.
Don't worry your little old head about me.
Walt Hill. You hired him to get me.
He didn't, so I saved $100.
And that gallery of yours.
Just the front, Hammer.
I know, for the syndicate.
But Fane and me are through with the syndicate, aren't we, Fane?
That's right, George.
Fane and me, we're going into business for ourselves in little old Mexico.
If you make it across the border.
Don't you worry about us. We'll make it.
You may have to kill others.
I don't think so. Just you, Hammer.
Maybe you'll get away with it, but killing a cop, that's a hard rap to beat.
So you know about Galax, huh?
You're not the only one who gets around, Mitchell.
Yeah, but you're through getting around. Isn't that right, Fane?
That's absolutely right, George.
Right. You see, Hammer?
About that dame on the train.
Still a small world. I was on that train, too. If the syndicate thought Fane was dead, it'd give us time to skip to Mexico. Pretty neat little plan, huh?
You know what they say about the best laid plans of mice and men. I mean rats.
Oh, now, is that a nice way to be talking about your ex-partner?
Your ex-partner, too, George.
Huh?
You heard me, George. Stay right where you are.
Oh, Fane, honey, what
I'll make it fast, snappy, and unpleasant.
Life is full of surprises in such a small world, George. You just got to expect.
You shut up. I'm the one who gets the last laugh on both of you.
Well,
Fast and snappy, I told you. I'm not splitting the money in that suitcase with anybody. I didn't go through all the trouble to give up any of it.
Well, what's the idea?
The idea, Georgie, is to leave you and Mike here.
Well, now, Fane, don't be crazy. You won't get away with it.
I'll try. I'll tell you that. I'll try.
Well, I'll find you. You try this, and I'll find you, and I'll hound you
A
down.
dead hound can't track anything down. Now, what's so funny?
Well, the joke's on you, Fane, honey. I'm the one who gets the last laugh.
You want to die laughing? Go ahead,
Well,
laugh.
it's almost worth it. Such a big joke, huh? Money in that suitcase that couldn't get you a ride on a Mexican streetcar, all of it together.
What?
It's phony.
Huh?
Counterfeit.
You're lying.
Well, go ahead, look for yourself. Not worth the paper it's printed on. I made the switch yesterday. I was going to meet you in Mexico City next week. Huh? I wasn't ever going to meet you again. Now, I ask you, who's got the last laugh, huh?
You stop it. Stop it. I'll kill you just for
Oh,
laughing.
no, you won't. You want that money too bad. You won't do nothing. A real big joke, huh?
Enjoy yourself while you can, Mitchell.
Well, what's going to stop me now?
Fred Galax.
What? Well, he's dead and you know it.
In a way, he isn't.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about that gun you're holding. Take my advice. Drop it.
Are you crazy?
There are cops at every window.
Oh, sure.
There's one at that window behind you.
Of course.
You're right. That window there. To your left. Even though he was dying, Galax managed to scribble a note to me about your setup at the art gallery, Mitchell. It wasn't hard for me to put two and two together. So I fixed it for the cops to be here for this final business deal of ours. Now I ask you both, who's got the last laugh?
Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invite you to listen to Dr. Watson tell about an exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And I've got something to talk about, too. Now that the poultry shortage is over and you can get chicken again, you ought to treat yourself to the best meal in the world. Fried chicken, Southern style, accompanied by a chill glass of Petri Sauterne. My, is that something. You know, Petri Sauterne is a wonderful mealtime wine. It's a white wine, the color of pale, pale gold. And Petri Sauterne is delicate in flavor, sort of subtle and kind of intriguing. Well, just wait till you taste it. You'll really love it with that fried chicken. Oh, and I'll tell you something else. It's wonderful with fish. If you haven't tried fish or any kind of seafood, together with Petri Sauterne, well, I hate to say this, but you don't know, folks. You just don't know. So how about finding out? Just pick up a bottle of Petri Sauterne on your way home tomorrow. It's a Petri wine, so you know it's good. And now let's see if our old friend Dr. Watson's expecting. He's out on the patio. Dr. Watson?
Here I am, Mr. Martell. Sit out here this evening, my boy.
Oh, swell idea, Doctor. It certainly is a beautiful night.
It certainly is. Draw up a chair and make yourself comfortable. That's it. You care for some of my tobacco?
I think I'll stick to a cigarette, thanks. Well, Doctor, all ready for tonight's adventure?
Yes, Mr. Bartell, I'm all ready. And a strange story it was. A very strange story.
How did it begin? Stormy December night in 1900 with the rain pelting against the Baker Street windows? Or perhaps with you and the great Sherlock Holmes rattling along in a cab beside the foggy waterfront chasing some desperate criminal?
You make quite a good storyteller yourself, Mr. Bartell. No. The adventure, I tell you, took place many, many thousands of miles afield from our Baker Street headquarters. To be exact, in the Indian city of Parbutipur, about 200 miles north of Calcutta.
It must have been a mighty important case that made you both travel that far.
It certainly was, my boy, yes. It was announced in the summer of 1894, I remember, that Holmes received an urgent summons from the Maharaja of Parbutipur. After 5 weeks at sea, we reached Calcutta, and a few days later found ourselves on the veranda of our hotel in Parbutipur. As we sat there talking to the Maharaja's brother, Rabat Singh, we could hear the faint throb of native drums and the haunting wail of an Indian lute coming from the bazaar.
And so, gentlemen, I thought that before I took you over to my brother's palace, I would tell you something of the problems that beset him.
An excellent idea, Mr. Singh.
Yes, indeed, sir, particularly as you've just told us your brother, the Maharaja, is not in the best of health.
Just so, Dr. Watson. Interviews tire him, and in any case, his command of the English language is not so extensive as mine.
And now, sir, the problem, if you please.
As to the exact problem, Mr. Holmes, I am not completely informed. My dear brother has not seen fit to confide his entire troubles, even to me. In fact, until your arrival yesterday, I did not even know that you had been sent for. But I can tell you that his worries are centered on the safety of the white elephant of Parbutipur.
White elephant?
Well, possibly you are not aware that white elephants actually do exist.
Oh, yes, though I understand that they're extremely rare.
Oh, extremely, Mr.
Am I right in thinking that in the East, white elephant is considered sacred?
Quite right.
Pray continue, sir.
Well, in 1750, the first white elephant was presented to my great-great-grandfather, and with it came the legend that the Maharaja's rule would be happy, healthy, and successful only as long as the elephant flourished. If the animal were to die, then the reign would come to an end, and the Maharaja was doomed to a sudden death.
Mr. Singh, who was responsible for the origin of this legend?
Oh, a good and wise man who traveled from the mountains beyond Nepal. He it was who brought the first elephant to my great-great-grandfather.
And how has the legend worked out in actual practice, sir?
Its prophecies have come frighteningly true, Dr. Watson.
Oh?
The first elephant was killed by his mahout, his own keeper, after my illustrious ancestor had dismissed the man for incompetence. A week later, my great-great was himself killed in a native uprising. And so it has gone on, gentlemen, since then.
Amazing, amazing.
When the elephants have died, and they have always died, the Maharaja of Parbutipur has died a violent death soon after. And as each new Maharaja has succeeded to the title, the wise man from the beyond the mountains has appeared, and with him, a new sacred white elephant. The last appeared 4 years ago when my brother inherited the title.
But it can't still be the same man, sir.
Why not, Doctor?
Well, I mean to say, that'd make him a couple of 100 years old.
A trifle less, I fancy, Doctor.
Oh, really, my dear sir? Seems to me your story's the wrong way round. Men don't live to such an age, whereas elephants are noted for their length of life.
That's true, Watson, but apparently not the sacred white ones of Parbutipur. Mr. Singh, in the event that your brother's death, who would become the Maharaja?
I should, Mr. Holmes. Oh, I can see what you are thinking, sir. The next in line to succeed to the title would have an excellent motive for wishing animal death.
Well, the logic is inescapable. The thought had no personal implications, I assure you.
Well, I'm very anxious to see this fabulous animal.
The sacred white elephant is never seen except at the yearly festival that celebrates another anniversary of the Maharaja's rule.
So the animal is only seen once a year, eh?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
And when is the next anniversary, may I ask?
In 2 weeks' time.
Oh, our arrival seems to have coincided very nicely with the ceremony.
Yes, Watson, a fact that I'm sure is not coincidental. Well, Mr. Singh, I'm very glad that you told us the legend of the sacred white elephant, and now I suggest that you take us to the palace. I'm most anxious to make the Maharaja's acquaintance.
This is the council chamber, gentlemen. If you will wait here a moment, I will go and see if my brother is well enough to receive you.
Very well, sir.
Oh, my soul, Holmes, I'm not easily impressed, but this palace is absolutely staggering in its magnificence.
Yes, it does rather take one's breath away, doesn't it?
I think it does.
This floor is of the finest marble, and unless I'm much mistaken, that magnificent rug is a genuine brocade. Yes, by Jove, it is.
I can swear that the staircase we mounted a moment ago had railings of solid gold.
You did, old chap. This is a country of paradoxes, where opulence beyond the dreams of Midas rubs shoulders with the direst poverty.
And yet, looking at a palace like this, it's not hard to see why India is called the brightest jewel in the diadem of the British Empire. Good Lord, what's that?
That is an elephant trumpeting.
Oh, yes, of course. Because it's the sacred white one?
Undoubtedly. You will recall the Maharaja's brother told us it's the only one at the palace.
Cheers. It's an odd sound.
Yes, a very comforting one. The animal seems to be in the best of health.
Who waits in the Maharaja's council
Good gracious me, you gave me a start. I didn't hear you come in.
And my friend and I are waiting for an audience with His Highness.
No one can hold audience with the Maharaja. Please to leave.
Now look here, my good fellow.
Watson,
please to leave.
Watson.
What?
We've traveled 12,000 miles to see the Maharaja, sir, at his request. In any case, his brother is with him now arranging an audience.
I am Mada, Maharaja's physician and chief counselor. And I tell you, you cannot hold audience today.
And I tell you that I haven't the slightest intention of leaving the palace without seeing him.
You defy the authority of Mada? Saila! Azur? Taiblo ke lay jao.
Now, I warn you that if I have any...
Oh, I'm glad you're back, Mr. Singh. This fellow told us that we couldn't see your brother.
Furthermore, he seems to labor under the misapprehension that he can have us thrown bodily out of the palace.
Mada, you do not understand. These are the gentlemen my brother wishes to see. From England he has sent for them.
It was against my counsel they were summoned. No good will come of this.
Follow me, gentlemen. My brother the Maharaja will see you now. But please do not stay with him too long. He is far from well.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, I'm so happy you have arrived here safely. It was great imposition to ask you to travel so far.
Oh, not at all, sir. I only hope we can prove of material assistance to you.
Ranji?
Yes, Rabat?
I wish you would permit Dr. Watson to examine you.
Yes, just what I'd like to suggest myself, sir. In fact, I brought my medical bag along just in case.
Mada would not approve. Mada not believe in Occidental medicine.
I do not trust Mada. I do not think he wishes you to get well. Please, Ranji, let the doctor examine you.
Very well. But you not tell not Mada.
And now, what seems to be the trouble, Your Highness?
My eyes, they torture me. Night and day, they torture me.
Yes, I noticed they seem very inflamed. Now, let me take a look at them. Yes. Now, open them a little wider, please, sir.
I throb, burn, night and day. Night, day, burn.
The color is distinctly reddened. However, this isn't anything very, very serious, sir. What you're suffering from is a case of what we call conjunctivitis.
What you do relieve pain, doctor?
Oh, some eye drops will give you relief in no time, sir. I have some here in my bag.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Perhaps medicine will help.
Yes, I'm sure it will, sir. Here you are. Now, this small bottle and an eyedropper. This is an eyedropper. Just put a few drops in the corner of each eye, and I'm sure that you'll get some relief in no time at all.
Good, Dr. Watson.
You think there is nothing seriously wrong, Doctor? Mada gave it as his opinion that my brother's eyesight was in serious danger.
Well, pardon my saying so, I think it more likely that my medical knowledge exceeds his. I can assure you there's nothing seriously the matter with your brother's eyes, sir.
I'm happy you say so. Now you will please excuse me while I take medication and rest a little. we discuss my problems later. Quarters already prepared for you in palace. You do not mind, Mr. Holmes?
Not at all, sir, though in the interim I should like to employ my time to the full by inspecting your sacred white elephant.
No, that I cannot allow. I must talk to you first.
I think, sir, you will do well to give me permission to see the animal. I already have my suspicions as to your reason for bringing me here, and it will be best if I'm completely informed when we have our discussion.
Very well. Can do no harm. Here. Take Ring. Show Ring to Sucro. He's keeper of animal. Sucro will let you into Elephant House when he see Ring.
Thank you, sir. And please rest comfortably. I'm sure that your worries are nearly at an end. Come on, Watson.
Well, they told us this was the Elephant House. Why in thunder doesn't the keeper open the door?
I imagine because his mind is preoccupied with music. Knock again, old fellow, will you? Uh-huh. He heard us that time.
Yeah, about time. We must have been knocking here for 5 or 6 minutes.
Salam, sir. Here, Monte.
Parahati technico asti.
Tum techni ne secta.
Ja. Maharaja side. Kumko asti matik dio.
Potato sahab. Idara.
Say, Holmes, the Maharaja's ring certainly seemed a trick. He didn't want to let us in until you showed it to him, did he?
Good and faithful servant, our friend Sucro.
Kir kutai.
Kir.
Hati parkir.
Parkir. Kasamapit.
Nejutai sahab.
What's happened, Holmes?
The white elephant has disappeared, Watson.
Disappeared? That's ridiculous. Elephants don't just disappear.
Kiakarik sahab.
Maharaja sahib kibolo. Kali kibolo.
Potato sahab. Potato.
Where's he going?
I told him to go to the Maharaja and give him the news. But he was to tell it to no one else.
But, Holmes, this is ridiculous. We heard the animal trumpeting here less than half an hour ago. How can an elephant be spirited away in that amount of time?
That's what we have to find out, my dear fellow. I've often heard the Indian rope trick. Now we have a first-hand opportunity of solving a new mystery, the problem of the disappearing elephant.
Holmes, this is farcical. We spent half an hour searching this elephant house. After all, an elephant isn't exactly insignificant. I doubt if you're going to find it out of those boards in the corner over there.
True, Watson, but nonetheless, there are interesting clues to be observed.
Clues? What clues?
Come over here, old chap.
Bloodstains. Great Scott, suggesting that's elephant's blood.
It's hard to say, though I would venture the opinion that it would require the blood of several human corpses to produce an equivalent amount of blood. In any case, you will notice that the stains are dried and old.
Hello? That must be the elephant keeper back from the palace.
Galore, Watson. His mother, the Maharaja's physician.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, at once you must come back to the palace.
What's wrong, sir?
It is the Maharaja. Death has come to him.
Dead? Great heavens.
Exactly what happened?
Sucro, keeper of the elephant, came to the Maharaja. He said he had a most important message to deliver.
He had. I told him to deliver it. Then what happened?
A few moments later, I heard cries. I went to Maharaja's room and found him in delirium. He was saying elephant having disappeared, his brother, and I tried to give comfort to him, but we could do nothing. His breathing became more and more labored. Finally, it stopped altogether.
So the doom of Parbotipur is fulfilled once again. The elephant is gone and the Maharaja's reign is ended. Come on. We must go to the palace.
Yes, I must examine the body at once.
You're certain it was a natural death, Mr. Mudder?
Positive, Mr.
No
Holmes.
symptoms of poisoning, for example?
Mr. Holmes, I have read some of your sensational stories in which obscure deaths are attributed to a subtle oriental poison unknown to Western science. I can assure you that if the Maharaja has been poisoned, it has been caused by no poison known to me.
When did he last eat?
Over 8 hours ago.
Possibly died of shock, Holmes. Shock and hysteria. When he knew that the elephant had vanished.
Yes, it's possible, but it's murder just the same.
Murder? Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Because whoever caused the elephant to disappear did it with the deliberate intention of ending the Maharaja's reign. A diabolical plot, and one that I intend to overcome before this day is out.
Dr. Watson's story will continue in just a second, so all I'm going to say is, if you like a swell red wine with your dinner, Well, then you should know about Petri California Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is a rich, hearty red wine that's just wonderful with hamburger and beef stew and pot roast and chops and just about any meat or meat dish you can think of. And, of course, if you can get hold of a steak or a prime rib, well, then you just got to serve that with Petri Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is a swell mealtime wine. The best friend a good meal ever had. No kidding. And now back to tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure, the case of the vanishing elephant. Tell me, Doctor, did you examine the Maharaja's body?
Yes, of course I did, Mr. Bartell. Holmes was convinced that the Maharaja had been murdered, but I could find no trace of foul play. After my examination, I joined Holmes in our quarters, and I gave him my opinion.
Found out anything?
Looks like natural death to me, Holmes.
No traces of poison?
None that I could see. Of course, it's hard to be certain without an autopsy.
Did you suggest one?
Yes, but the new Maharaja won't hear of it. It's against their religion, apparently.
Yes, I was afraid of that. Meantime, I've been conducting a cross-examination of some of the palace servants.
Oh? What do you find out?
Principally that all of them heard the elephant trumpeting this morning.
Did any of them suggest how the animal might have been smuggled to the palace grounds?
They insisted that such a feat would be impossible without their knowledge.
Well, what's our next move, Holmes?
To interrogate the one person who I'm sure can give us the true story of the elephant's disappearance, its keeper. Remember, we haven't seen him since he took the message to the palace. I suggest we return to the elephant house and have a persuasive talk with him.
This must be the house. The only one that's near the elephant pen. Ramshackle-looking place, isn't it?
Extremely. Sucro! Sucro!
Don't tell me that he's vanished, too. This is beginning to get on my nerves. Oh, no.
Sucro! I think under the circumstances, we'll take the liberty of entering. Sucro!
Look, Holmes. Look on the floor.
We're too late.
Good Lord. What a horrible sight. His throat's been cut.
Obviously another murder. He knew the secret of the vanishing elephant. Let's have a look around. Sucro was quite a musician. Look at this weird assortment of instruments. Native lute.
Well, we heard him playing that today as we approached the elephant house.
What's this?
It looks like a sort of giant megaphone.
A musical instrument of some kind. Observe the mouthpiece here. Let's see what kind of noise it makes.
Great Scott. The instrument sounds exactly like an elephant trumpeting.
Of course. Numbskull, why didn't I think this before? Come on, Watson, back to the palace as fast as your legs can carry you. The mystery is solved.
You say you have solved the problem of the missing elephant, Mr.
Yes,
Holmes?
sir. And also the cause of your brother's death and Sucro's murder.
Indeed. That is very important news. Won't you both sit down, please?
Thank you, sir.
Please proceed, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you. First, the elephant did not vanish today. The beast must have died a natural death months ago. All that happened today was that I discovered its absence.
Are you suggesting that my brother knew the beast was dead?
I am, sir. But he was afraid to publish the news. He knew that his rule would fall into a state of chaos if the fact were known. You yourself, sir, have told us how strong is the native belief in this legend.
Oh, how did he dispose of the elephant?
Unobtrusively over a period of time. The bloodstains in the elephant house would indicate that the animal had been cut up into disposable fragments, which could be removed by the faithful Sucro without attracting suspicion. All this time, though, the elephant horn was blown at suitable intervals to indicate that the sacred animal was still alive.
But if the Maharaja knew the beast was dead, why did he die of shock when he received the news?
I think the answer to that question, Dr. Watson, would be that my brother died of shame when he knew that his imposture had been discovered.
Little far-fetched, sir, if you don't mind my saying so. No, I'm certain the reason your brother brought me to your country was to reveal that imposture to me. He knew the day was coming soon when he must show the elephant to his people. The festival would have been held in 2 weeks' time, I think you told us, sir. I imagine that he wanted me to devise a method of smuggling a new white elephant into the palace grounds before that time.
Tell me, Mr. Sherlock Holmes, why did my brother die today?
Because he was murdered. just as Sucro was murdered later.
Murdered? How?
Oh, very ingeniously. By poison, but not, as you might expect, by any subtle Eastern poison. No, one of the most recent of Western poisons was used. A poison unknown to Oriental science. Delirium, followed by a strangulated breathing, is highly typical of the newly discovered poison hyoscyamine.
He hadn't eaten for 8 hours.
True, Watson, but you see, this hyoscyamine was administered to an eyedropper.
Good heavens.
The poison penetrates with unusual ease through the membranes of the eyes, if you will recall.
Yes, you're right, by Joe, it does. Must have been that physician fellow, whatever his name is.
No, my dear chap. This has been a case of confusions. Let's do a little clear thinking now, shall we? We were deceived by the apparent sequence of events. We discovered the elephant missing and thought that fact had caused the Maharaja's death.
Whereas his murder was quite a separate matter. The poison must have been placed in the eye drops while we were in the elephant house.
Precisely, dear chap. And when the murderer saw how the problem of the missing elephant confused us, he killed its unfortunate keeper to prevent us from learning the truth. Yes, you're strangely silent, Mr. Singh.
Am I, Mr. Holmes? I am fascinated by your flow of unassailable logic. Of course, you realize that I am now the Maharaja, the King of Kings, an absolute ruler with all power, including that of the police. Do you care to denounce the murderer to me?
Oh, come, Sir Ike. It's time the buttons off our foils. I'm well aware that you studied medicine at the University of Edinburgh. You have the motive, the opportunity, and the knowledge to kill your brother. The murder of Sucro was probably performed by an underling.
Great Scott, what a shocking
You are a clever man, Mr. Holmes. A very clever man.
Clever enough to realize that an absolute ruler, a ruler with all powers, including that of the police, is not apt to denounce himself.
Again, your logic is unassailable. Goodbye, gentlemen. I trust your voyage home will be a pleasant one.
I warn you, sir, that I shall make a full report of my findings in this case to the British Commissioner of this state.
Why should he prove more effectual than the great Sherlock Holmes? Goodbye, gentlemen, and bon voyage.
Filthy murderer. Makes my blood boil to think that he can't be brought to justice.
He can, and he will be. Civilized laws of the Occident cannot be enforced here, then we must fight him with his own weapons.
What do you mean, Holmes?
That we have a farewell talk with Mr. Madder, the dead Maharaja's physician, friend, and counselor.
But this is a terrible story you have told me, Mr. Holmes. My beloved ruler murdered by his own brother. Yet he cannot be made to account for his crimes.
He can be, sir, if you will help Mr. Holmes.
Of course I will. What can I do?
Try and obtain the eye drops before they're destroyed, will you? Have them analyzed by a Western scientist and forward the reports to me in London. I'll take the necessary action.
I will try to do that, Mr. Holmes. But if I fail, there is one other way I can avenge my master's death. In a few weeks, the new Maharaja will be enthroned.
I understand you, sir. The wise man from beyond the mountains of Nepal will bring a new white elephant. Perhaps an elephant that will not live very long.
You understand me perfectly, Mr. Holmes. I can promise you that the elephant will die in a very short time. And with it, the new Maharaja. My master shall be avenged.
That was quite a story, Doctor. Quite a story. And tell me, what did happen to the next white elephant of Parvati-Pur?
By an extraordinary coincidence, it died the day after the new Maharaja's enthronement. And that scum was himself killed in an uprising that occurred just a few days later.
You know something? I think I could be very happy as an Indian Maharaja.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful palace, beautiful women, beautiful jewels. And every year on my birthday, the natives would give me my weight in gold. You know, I could learn to like that. That is, if I tried.
Yes, and every week you'd speak to your subjects over the radio and tell them all about Petri wine.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Doctor. I don't always talk about Petri wine.
That's right. You don't always talk about Petri wine. You've got to sleep sometime.
All right, go on. Kid me about it. But Petri wine is worth talking about. After all, what other wine has the tradition behind it that Petri wine has? Don't forget, the Petri family has been making Petri wine for generations, since way back before there were electric lights and telephones and things like that. They've been making Petri wine since the 1800s, and handing down from father to son, every bit of valuable knowledge and experience. There's no doubt about it. The Petri family really knows how to turn luscious grapes into wonderful wine. That's why you can't go wrong with a Petri wine. Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Doctor, how's about giving us a clue to next week's story?
Now, next week, Mr. Bartell, I'm going to tell you an adventure in which I'm afraid I didn't exactly cover myself with glory, shall we say. But I think you'll find the story an exciting one, my boy, because it's composed of equal parts of romance, of international intrigue, and of sudden death.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure is written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and is based on an incident in the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Engineer's Thumb. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. This is Harry Bartell saying goodnight for the Petri family. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Mystery is my hobby. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Barton Drake speaking. For this evening's drama, I selected case history number 67 from my book, Mystery is My Hobby. I call it Murder Bound. It was the middle of last winter, and in a remote hunting lodge in northern New Hampshire, a brother and sister and their two guests were preparing to sit out a blizzard which threatened to be one of the worst in years.
Hello, Jim. Can you hear me? I wouldn't try to get through if I were you. Well, I'm calling from the cabin, and it started snowing about 6 this morning. No, we'll be all right. Look, we'll expect you in a couple of days. Right. So long.
They're not going to try and make it, eh, Cal?
No, they're driving that old station wagon, and getting through would be too uncertain.
I think this is too exciting. Really, I do. 4 of us marooned, snowbound, far from civilization, cut off from the world. Oh, it's too thrilling, really.
All I can say is I hope we're not caught here more than a couple of days.
Oh, Don, you're so unromantic, really.
Well, being a psychiatrist, Don means that we might begin to wear on each other's nerves because of the forced intimacy.
Don's an alarmist. Why, we've known each other for years. This is going to be fun.
Bruce is right. You know, being cut off like this gives one a sense of adventure. So let's enjoy ourselves, huh? All right. Look, how about a couple of hands of bridge?
Oh, let's set up the table in front of the fire.
Hey, speaking of the fire, I'd better get some more wood.
Hey, let me go, Cal. It's only a step, and I need the exercise.
All right, Superman. You insist.
Oh, I think this is going to be grand fun, really. Pull up your chairs, everybody, and after a little bit, I'll make some coffee.
Hey, put the coffee on now. I'll need a cup when I get back.
Good morning, Peg. Ooh, it's chilly in here.
Calvin, is it still snowing out?
Of course it's still snowing out. That's a silly question.
Oh, well, really, Calvin, you don't have to be rude. I merely asked.
And you don't have to be so dumb. If you want to know if it's still snowing, look out the window.
Really, Calvin, just because you're my brother...
Oh, for heaven's sake, Peggy, stop saying really.
But, Calvin, really...
Good morning, Peggy. I've been looking for you. How about a game of casino?
Oh, really, Bruce? Casino bores me. It does, really.
How about getting an armful of wood for the fire, Bruce? Pretty low.
How about getting it yourself, old boy?
I got it the last 3 times.
Well. Here we are. Just one big happy family. How's for a spot of coffee, Peg? Can't do a thing without coffee in the morning.
Really, Don, am I a servant? Aren't you capable of making your own coffee?
That's telling him, Peg. Who was your servant last year, Don?
Bruce, do you have to prefix your cliches with that silly laugh?
Oh, it's no worse than Peg, really.
Really, Calvin, must you be so obnoxious?
Cal is obnoxious, isn't he?
Quit that laughing.
Shut up, Don. I'll do my own fighting.
Really, Cal, just because we're snowbound,
4 days of snow so thick you can't see 10 feet. It's bound to stop sometime. It always has.
Can't you say anything without laughing, Bruce?
Really, must we quarrel? The others will be here soon.
Peg's right. Let's quit this getting on each other's nerves. Sure, let's.
That's okay with me.
Really, that's the most sensible thing. Oh, really, Bruce? Must you make love to me? It's so boring.
Why not? There's nothing else to do.
Well, really?
If I hear that guy laugh again, I'll kill him.
Be careful, Bruce. That gun's loaded. Don't worry. I'm not going to kill anyone.
6 days of snow. It's getting us. I knew it would.
Who was that? Where did those shots come from? Hello? Who's there? Guess I'm getting jumpy.
Calvin, I heard some shots. Oh, where's Bruce and Don? Oh, really? This is dreadful.
Well, they must be outside. Come on, let's see.
Here comes someone now.
Oh, who is it?
It's snowing so hard. Oh, he's coming in. Oh, really? I can't understand. Oh, it's Don.
What happened? Where's Bruce?
Dead. He shot himself. Either that or someone murdered him.
Holy smoke, Bart. Where are we now?
I can't see anything but snow, Inspector. Here, let me wipe off the windshield.
Wiping off the windshield won't do any good. The only thing that'll help us now is about 3 days of good California weather.
Yes, that would certainly solve our problem, wouldn't it, Inspector?
Yeah, maybe this is funny to you, but to me, freezing to death is a heck of a way to die.
We've all got to go sometime, Inspector.
Yeah.
Inspector, we're stuck.
Now, what do you think of that?
I told you that we shouldn't have tried to come through tonight.
Oh, sure, you told me. You knew the storm wasn't going to let up. You know everything.
Inspector, do I detect a note of sarcasm in your flattery? Come on.
Where are you going?
I'm going to try and find a habitation, Inspector.
We haven't passed a house since early this afternoon.
Which means there must be one nearby. The law of averages, you know, Inspector.
Well, by golly, I'm not getting out of this car. I don't want to freeze to death.
The trick is to keep moving, Inspector.
I'm going to sit right here.
Okay, Inspector. I'll have them pick up your corpse early in the morning.
Hey, Bart.
Yes, Inspector.
Wait a minute, doggone it. I'm coming.
I thought you'd think better of sitting there alone, Inspector.
We're going to find our way through this storm. It's pitch dark, and it's snowing so doggone hard.
I think if we keep that light in our line of vision, we'll be all right, Inspector.
What are you talking about?
That light over there, Inspector. The one that's winking at us through the street.
Well, I'll be... Bart.
Yes, Inspector?
You saw that light all the time, didn't you? You were kidding me.
Kidding you?
Yeah.
I, Inspector? Oh, come on, let's go. Almost there, Inspector.
Yeah.
Are you tired?
No, what gave you that idea?
Oh, it's just a passing fancy. Hey, look there, Inspector. Seems to be some sportsman's hunting line.
So what if it is? Let's get inside.
All right, Inspector. If you're rested enough.
Phew. Good to get out of that wind.
It'd be even better to get inside where it's warm.
Yeah. Well, Sheriff Metcalf. Come in, gentlemen. Come in. Well, I had no idea you'd even try to get through in this storm. Lucky for us you did, though. Who's this young man with you, Sheriff?
Oh, just a minute, Mr.
Oh, excuse me. You don't know who I am, of course. I'm Smith, Calvin Smith. It was I who called you on the phone and explained about the suicide.
Suicide?
Yes, a chap by the name of Bruce Stearns. Didn't Sheriff Metcalf here explain it to you?
No, he didn't. You see, Sheriff Metcalf has a way of keeping those things to himself until he makes sure of the facts.
Oh, I see. Well, I suppose that's smart. However,
Just a minute. There's some explaining to be done around here.
Well, I don't know what else I can tell you, Sheriff. Bruce was depressed, financially as well as mentally, I mean. And then on top of that, Peggy refused to marry him. So he went down to the pond and shot himself. You see, it's very simple.
Yeah, I see it is. Only...
Oh, are these men, Cal? Certainly not the sheriff. You're not the sheriff, are you?
No, I'm not.
I hate attractive men who are sheriffs. Well, Calvin, dear, do introduce me. Really, you're being most rude.
Gentlemen, this is my sister Peggy.
How do you do, Miss Smith?
As you can see, she enjoys the sound of her own voice.
Oh, Calvin, really?
Oh, be still, Peg. This is Sheriff Ira Metcalf.
Now, look, if somebody doesn't let me say something...
There, you see? The sheriff wants to talk, too. Oh, Calvin, sometimes you're so difficult. What's your name?
Name? It's John.
John? Oh, how too divine. I've always wanted to know an attractive man named John. May I call you John?
Yes, of course.
Oh, how wonderful. And you must call me Peggy.
Peggy, will you stop running off the mouth? These men are here for a purpose. Sheriff, I suppose you'll want to view the body.
Okay, I give up. I'm the sheriff. Where's the body?
Oh, I think this is so exciting. Oh, I do hope that poor Bruce was murdered. Well, I mean, since he's dead anyway, why not have him murdered? Because it's so dull around here.
Shut up. Now, if you gentlemen will come with me. The corpse is in the woodshed. Well, what do you think?
Personally, I'm not able to think. That talking machine sister of yours left me kind of dizzy.
Well, don't worry, Sheriff. Peggy won't bother you out here in the woodshed where it's cold.
Good. Now, maybe I can explain who...
Sheriff.
Huh? Who are you calling sheriff?
You, Sheriff. Now, Mr. Smith, if Bruce Stearns died down on the ice pond, why is his body here in the woodshed?
Oh, I see what you mean. We shouldn't have moved the body.
No.
Under the circumstances, I think we were justified, however. You see, the ice pond is partly roofed over, but the snow is drifting in fast. Another day, and we might not have been able to locate the corpse. Now, look over here.
Oh, the body is in a perfect state of preservation.
Yes. As you know, the temperature in this locality hasn't risen above zero for the past week.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time of year, it isn't likely to for another month. Oh, hello, Don. Come in. Gentlemen, this is Dr. Donald Shumway, one of our guests. Don, this is Sheriff Metcalf, and John... what did you say your last name was?
Sawyer, John Sawyer.
Oh, yes, of course.
How do you do? How do you do?
Peggy told me the local law had arrived. You chaps must be badly in need of a murder to come out here on a night like this.
Who said it was murder?
Oh, that's a sharp question, Sheriff. And I always thought Rube Hawkshaws were comic strip characters.
Well, are you going to answer the question?
Sure, I'll answer it. I didn't say it was murder. As a matter of fact, my guess is that Bruce shot himself.
Did you examine the body, Doctor?
Yes, I examined it. He was shot twice through the head. I got to him 5 minutes after it happened.
That's right, gentlemen. Don called me and asked me to help him carry Bruce up here to the woodshed out of the storm.
So, did you hear the shots, Mr. Smith?
Oh, no, naturally not. You see, the ice pond is some distance from the house, and, well, the storm is making a terrific roar.
Did you hear the shots, Doc?
Of course I didn't. No one heard them.
Then how did you know that you arrived at the ice pond 5 minutes after it happened?
Well, I'll be darned. Cal, who was it said these hick cops were dumb?
Never mind that. Answer the question.
I'll answer the question, Sheriff. You don't have to get tough. I happened to overhear the tail end of the quarrel between Bruce and Peggy.
But, Don, you didn't tell me that.
Oh, why should I? I heard Bruce threaten to kill himself. Why make an unpleasant situation worse by talking about it?
Mm-hmm. So you followed Bruce Stearns down to the ice pond in the hopes of stopping him from carrying out his threat. Is that it, Doctor?
Yes, that's it. Only I got there too late. By the time I arrived, Bruce had shot himself.
I'm sorry, Doctor. Stearns didn't shoot himself. He was murdered.
Oh, he was? Now, look, you rube cops might be pretty smart, but I happen to be a doctor, and I
Being
say...
a doctor, you should be the first to realize that Bruce Stearns couldn't have committed suicide.
What the devil are you talking about?
Bruce Stearns was shot twice, through the head. A man who shoots himself once through the head doesn't live long enough to shoot himself a second time. Sheriff, I suggest that we wait until daylight and then visit the scene of the crime. Perhaps we will uncover some more items of interest.
Hey, let's stop and rest a minute.
All right. Well, at least we're fortunate that the storm blew itself out, my mate.
Yeah. Say, when are we going to stop this play-acting, tell that bunch who we really are?
Inspector, do you object to being regarded as a rube sheriff?
No, rube sheriffs are as good as anyone else, only.
That's just the point, Inspector. We know they are, but Smith and his friends seem to think that any local law enforcement is rather stupid.
Yeah.
As long as they think that, we have the advantage. Don't you agree?
Well, maybe you're right at that. Well, let's get on with the shoveling.
Right you are.
Think maybe we'll find a suicide note pinned to the ice, eh?
I'm afraid we can't hope for that, Inspector.
But what if Doc Shumway was kidding us about the spot where he found Stern's body?
Inspector, come here. Look.
Where?
Just a minute till I clear away the last of the snow. There. Now, can you see it?
Well, I'll be darned. The Doc wasn't kidding after all.
No, he wasn't, Inspector. There's the perfect outline of a man's body sunk in the ice.
What's the hair for?
Listen, Dr. Shumway said that he followed Bruce Stearns down here and that he arrived 5 minutes after Stearns died.
Well, what's wrong with that? Being a doctor, he'd know how long the guy had been dead.
But, Inspector, do you think a man's body lying here on the ice could have made an impression such as this in 5 minutes' time?
Say, maybe I got something there, Bart.
Perhaps, Inspector, perhaps. Now, let me see. No, I think that theory's all wrong.
Well, make up your mind, will you? I'm getting cold.
Yes, it's definitely wrong, Inspector. There's no doubt about it.
Stearns committed suicide after all, eh?
No, Inspector. Stearns was murdered, but not by being shot. I'll bet my last dollar he died from a blow on the head followed by freezing.
This is the woodshed. The house is up there.
Yes, Inspector, I know. I want to have another look at the corpse.
Let's get it over with fast.
This won't take a minute. Yes, there it is.
There's what?
The thermometer on the wall, Inspector. I noticed it last night. What does it say, Inspector?
Let's see. Oh, I wish I hadn't looked.
Yes, that is pretty cold, isn't it, Inspector? Let's take another glance at the corpse.
What are we going to look for this time?
Well, those bullet wounds really don't tell us very much, do they, Inspector?
Only that the guy's dead.
But not necessarily from the bullets. It's possible that both of them could have merely grazed the skull.
If it were my skull, I'd give up and admit being dead.
Look, that slight abrasion behind his left ear. That could have been made by a blow from a heavy instrument. Yes, I think that explains it.
You think what explains what?
It explains the manner in which Bruce Stearns died, Inspector. The motive for his having died, and the identity of his...
What's that? What's that?
Someone close the shed door. Come on, Inspector, quick!
Oh, we're being spied on, eh? Well, it's locked.
Yes, of course it's locked, Inspector. It was locked by the murderer. I'm afraid he has us neatly trapped.
What do you mean, trapped? Open the door. Hey, open up, I say.
No use, Inspector. That door is made of oak logs. Don't waste your strength.
Don't waste my strength. Well, what would you suggest? Are we going to just stand here and freeze to death?
I think that's the fate that our captor has in mind for us, Inspector. What did you say the thermometer registered? 10 degrees below zero?
Yeah, and us wearing light top coats. Jumping Judas, we got to do something. Maybe if we began to yell, someone would hear us, eh?
I'm afraid that isn't very likely. This shed is in the rear of the house, and the heavy logs would successfully deaden our voices. Besides, if the murderer is as smart as I think he is, he's going to convince the others that we've quit our job. No, Inspector. We've got to figure some way of getting out of here, and we've got to do it fast. 10 degrees below zero is a lethal weapon that we can't afford to fool with.
Oh, there you are, Calvin. Whatever happened to that attractive man? John, I believe you said his name was. Oh, he's so attractive.
How should I know what happened to him?
Oh, no, really, Calvin, you're being most rude. The car's gone, you know.
What? Whose car's gone?
The sheriff's car, of course. Oh, really, Calvin, don't pretend you don't know.
Pretend I don't know? Why should I pretend I don't know? Besides...
Well, they've gone. Quit. I knew those country bumpkins wouldn't figure anything out.
Oh, really, Don? You don't have to make such an effort to impress us. We're quite aware of the fact that you murdered Bruce.
What? What the devil are you talking about, Peggy?
Oh, don't pay any attention to her, Don. She's crazy.
Oh, Calvin, must you be so rude? Really, after
Peggy,
all...
if you don't stop telling me to stop being rude, I'll sock you one.
Calvin!
You see? That proves my theory, doesn't it? That proves that Bruce committed suicide. I don't care what that thick-headed sheriff says. I tell you, there's just so much of this sort of thing a man can stand. I'm a doctor, I know.
Oh, really, Don?
Stop saying really. See? That's what happened to Bruce. We've been here too long, shut in by the storm. Bruce couldn't take it. He got sick of looking at us and hearing our voices. I don't blame him. I'm sick of it, too.
Oh, you are? Well, don't think we're not just as sick of you. You and your big talk.
See? We're all sick of each other. See?
Oh, really, Don? If you say see again, I think I'll scream.
And if you say really again, Peggy, I'm going to do more than scream.
Well, it would be interesting, Calvin, to see just what you would do. You've always been such a mousy little man.
Why, you little hussy old cow. Quit it. This is what happened before. We don't want it to repeat itself.
You stay out of this, Don. I'm going to teach her.
All right, Smith. Leave her alone.
Drake!
How did we get out of the woodshed? Is that what you were going to ask, Smith?
Woodshed?
Yes.
What about the woodshed?
Never mind the woodshed right now. Didn't I just hear you call Drake?
It slipped off.
How stupid of you, Calvin. Really?
You knew, too, didn't you, Miss Smith?
Oh, darling, of course I did. Oh, I've admired your pictures in the papers so many times. You're so attractive.
So you were all kidding us, eh? Well, for my dough, that means just one thing. You were trying to cover up something.
Of course we were. Bruce was murdered. Do you think that...
Oh, so he was murdered. I thought you said it was suicide, Doc.
Well, naturally I did. These people are my friends. I wanted to do everything I could to protect them.
Which, of course, makes you an accomplice some way. Miss Smith, how far down the road did you drive our car?
Why, Barton, you don't think that I...
Yes, we think that you. In fact, we know that you.
Really? But I don't
We
see
saw you, Miss Smith, through a crack in the log walls of the woodshed.
And through the same crack, we saw your brother going back into the house after locking us in the shed.
Locking you in?
Yeah.
Then... Oh, but how did you get out?
Chopped our way out, Chumway. Woodsheds usually have axes in them. This one had two. The exercise kept us from freezing and gave us our liberty.
So now that that's all cleared up, we'll arrest the murderer and be on our way.
Oh, Inspector, do you know who the murderer is, really?
You should have.
You all know who the murderer is, really. You've known from the moment it took place. Two of you have kept from telling us because you were afraid the same thing would happen to you that happened to Bruce Stearns. And you didn't have any real proof.
Have you?
Oh, yes. We have proof, Calvin.
Well, who is it? Get it over with.
By the process of elimination, you must be it, Chumway.
By the process of elimination, eh? Well, I'm not quaking in my boots yet, Drake.
Both Smith and his sister made attempts to keep us here because they wanted us to get the proof that neither of them could obtain.
And darn near froze us to death in the attempt.
Oh, you wouldn't have frozen to death. I only wanted to keep you locked up long enough to give Peggy the chance to drive your car away.
So you two dirty...
Really, Don? You were most naive to think that we weren't aware that you had murdered poor Bruce. It was so easy to pretend that we believed your suicide theory.
So that's it. You're all ganged up against me. Well, get this. You can't prove a thing. My testimony is better than any you can turn up. I'm a doctor. I can prove that Bruce shot himself.
And we can prove that Bruce Stearns didn't die of bullet wounds, Shumway. He was frozen to death.
That's a lie.
Is it? Now, let me tell you what I think happened. You and Stearns quarreled. In a fit of rage, you struck him. You're a much bigger man than Stearns was, Shumway. I think he ran away from you, and you chased him down to the ice pond. One of you had a gun. You struggled for it, and it went off twice. Both bullets grazing Stearns' skull.
That's exactly how it happened. It must have been.
You didn't see anything, so shut up, Cal.
No, Smith, I don't think you did see the fight. It was snowing too hard. Shumway knew this. He wiped his fingerprints from the gun and came up to the house and got you.
Yeah. Naturally, I had to accept Shumway's statement that Stearns was dead, only he wasn't.
And the argument that you leave the body in the sub-zero temperature of the woodshed to preserve it until the police arrived seemed logical, too.
Only the police arrived sooner than you expected it. All right, Shumway, drop it.
You fools. Didn't you think I'd be prepared for this the minute I knew you were Drake and Danton? This is one time.
Oh, really, Don? You're being most difficult.
Peggy, look out, girl. Why, you...
Don, you should have ducked, you know. Really.
Gosh, Bart, did you see the way she tossed that vase? Really.
Oh, really, Barton. You were magnificent. You really were, you know.
Oh, thank you, Peggy.
And you're so attractive. Really. jolly you are.
Well, I'm very flattered.
Oh, slight.
Oh, really, Inspector Danton? Must you be so crude?
Are you envious, Inspector?
No, I'm not envious, but now I can see why everyone went nuts around here. Really, my gosh, now I'm saying it.
Oh, never mind, Inspector. You won't have to put up with it much longer.
Before you leave, however, Drake, I'd like to know one thing.
What's that, Mr. Smith?
Well, how in Tunket did you know that Bruce wasn't killed by those shots?
Well, the answer to that's quite simple. When the inspector and I shoveled away the snow, we found a depression in the ice where Stern's body had lain. You had previously told us that the thermometer had not risen above zero since before the storm started. That meant, of course, that the depression in the ice could only have been made by the heat from Stern's body, which meant he must have been alive.
By George, that's right, isn't it?
Oh, really, Barton? You're too wonderful. You really are, you know.
Yeah. Well, look, Bart, tell her why you're too wonderful, and let's get out of here.
Well, I can only guess at what you mean, Inspector. I suppose you mean that you want me to say because mystery is my hobby, and it really is, you know.
Time 9:30.
There are, for example, two distinctly divergent schools of thought on the question of whether there is an essential difference in kind between one entire group of mental disorders, which are called neuroses, and another, which we know as psychosis.
Dr. Lincoln.
Yes, Lee?
Surely, in practice, this distinction is a useful and convenient one. I think we all should know that under its terms, neuroses are those disorders of emotional and also intellectual functionings with no loss of contact with the reality. Psychoses, on the other hand, as you'll agree, Doctor, are...
Urgent phone call for you. Tony Carpet has been knocked off. Narcotics wants you.
What? Who's phoning?
Johnny Bridges.
All right, I'll come. If you'll excuse me, Dr. Lincoln, gentlemen.
Goodyear presents The Sounds of Darkness. Good evening. The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, makers of passenger, truck, and tractor tires for every requirement in South Africa's farming, commerce, and industry, bring you Lee Masters, the blind detective who challenges the sounds of darkness. In tonight's Sounds of Darkness, you will hear Tony J. as Lee Masters, James Weiss as Johnny Bridges, and Elaine Lee as Samantha Darlington. Others in the cast are Hugh Rouse, Brian O'Shaughnessy, and Gordon Mulholland. And now let's join the world of Lee Masters in tonight's Sounds of Darkness, The Smell of Death.
Hello, Johnny. Sam.
Hi, Lee. You got my message?
Yeah, I got it, Johnny. During the lecture. Dry your eyes, Sam. All the crying in the world won't bring him back.
I'm sorry, Lee. I wasn't really crying.
Well, stop sniffling then. I heard it the moment I came in. That's how I knew you were here. Sorry, honey, but take it easy. right, Johnny. When, where, and why?
Well, I don't know all that much about it, Lee. He was out on a case, as you know. Either a junkie or a wheeler got him. Broken neck outside a small speakeasy, about an hour back.
How long dead?
Killed about 4 this morning.
And he lay there outside until 9 this morning?
It seems so, Lee. It was a back joint on 5th and 27th. Even if they saw anything down there, they wouldn't talk about it. You know how they love cops.
Who's on it, Johnny?
Neil Bates. He rang here. Wants your help.
Feeling better now, Sam?
Yeah, Lee, I'm sorry. It's just that we've known Tony a long time, and, well, he was a nice guy. Oh, it all seems so senseless.
Yeah. I knew him about 10 years. And 10 years is a long time to live in narcotics. He could have got bumped off a long time ago. For, say, about 5 years, Tony's been living on borrowed time. Look at it that way, Sam, and it won't hurt so much.
Gee, thanks, Lee. I'm sorry I'm so snivelly. You want me to get Bates for you?
Please. And a cup of coffee. Black, like Johnny's there on the table.
Oh, Bates first or coffee, Lee?
Coffee, Sam.
Okay.
Johnny, did they circle off the area?
Yeah, Lee. Bates said to tell you it's being held that way until you look at the scene.
Why not homicide?
They're onto it as well, Lee, but this is narcotics, don't forget. FBI work. Our work, Lee.
Plus the fact that Tony was an old friend, in a way. McDonald must miss him. He was one of Tony's takers. They shared an apartment and a mother. It's true. He's Tony's half-brother. As volatile, as precipitate as Tony ever was. But who killed him? A junkie? Denied a fix? Desperate? A wheeler? Stopped by Tony from selling the smoke? I wonder.
It's not going to be easy, Lee.
No. And when things aren't easy, look under the obvious. Even look inside a dead man, if you have to.
The perk's not working, Lee. I made you instant, okay?
Thanks, Sam. No milk, just like I said. So, Tony Carpetti. You want to know something, Johnny? Something worth remembering? Death smells. Before it happens, as it's happening, after it's happened. Smells like burnt milk. Sharp. Acrid. Sam, get me Neil Bates, will you?
This is where it happened, Lee.
No one disturbed the place?
Oh, the guy that saw the body land out of here as quick as he could. Didn't touch a thing.
Okay, Johnny, tell me what you see.
Just this little alley, Lee, about 15 feet across. It stretches from here to 28th. About 40 yards at the most. High walls both sides, about 8 feet high. Garbage bins down the bottom. Tarmac in the center of the alley. A bit of muck and gravel both sides for about 2 feet in.
Thanks, Johnny. Neil, the body?
Just about over here. That's where he found it.
Was it found facing up or down?
Facing down, Lee. Head my side, over here this side.
Okay, tell me about the prints, Johnny.
2 sets, Lee, close together. One small.
Yeah, that would be Tony. He took size 6. He was small, like his Itai forebears. And?
Bigger prints next to his, walking parallel. No, maybe a 6-inch stretch behind the others. No more prints. The depression in the ground.
So they were walking off the tarmac. Tony inside, right?
Yeah, but how did you know?
Tony was a careful man. He'd walk close to a wall any time. Well, let me see now. They walk together, then stop. Here. Yeah. Let me feel. The larger prints circle round behind. That's how he was chopped down. By someone he knew. Who stopped with him in this alley. Probably asked for a cigarette. Took out matches and dropped them behind Tony. Then he stood up. Struck with his fist at the back of the neck. Neck broken. Tony dies.
Now, look, Lee, this is all very clever. Homicide can deal with this. I called you across to give me a hand on the narcotic side, not to...
There's a small depression here. It could have been a box of matches dropped by the killer. No, more likely a lighter. Neil, you were saying?
Leave this to homicide, Lee. You and I got a lot to talk about.
All right. Let's go to your office and talk. Was Tony still mucking about with women, by the way?
No, I heard he'd stopped that.
I want to talk to your informant first. Then we'll go to your office. Take me to him, Johnny.
So I see this smaller man leaving. We have a talk. I remember him. His people come from Milano, same as mine. He eats a hamburger, then he goes out. I did not see him again until I walk out. I go through the alley to 28th Street to where I live. I see the body. I ring the police. I dismissed it. That is all I know.
Take it easy. I believe you. He spoke to no one else?
No, I am sure of that. No one at all.
But he was killed by a man he knew. Okay, Franco, if that's your name, you won't be booked. But I think the cops will want you to stick around.
But you are the cops, mister.
Yeah. Once removed. Don't try and work it out. Neil, let's go.
They haven't got the strangler yet, Lee. Should strike soon, so Kearney says. It's after the 24th.
What does Kearney know about crime, Johnny? Or the phases of the moon? Or the meaning of killings on the 24th of each month?
Well, he is the DA, and boy, are they kicking at him. Why don't the police safeguard the lives of every citizen? Why'd have to do something about it? Yeah, I should hate to be in his shoes.
The stranger's a nut. They'll get him in the end. No description, though. Clever nut. In a way, I admire him. Don't get me wrong on that, please. But he's bumped off 4 people. They can't even begin to find him.
Admire a maniac, Neil? Possibly. Schizoids live in a world of their own. I can understand that. Is he schizoid, I wonder? Or just psychopathic? Hebephrenic? Catatonic? Paranoid? Well, that's the killing stage.
Lee, you been attending FBI lectures again?
Yeah. Doc Lincoln. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, well, changing the subject. Any hunches on Carpetti yet?
No, not yet. No hunches. Just a few deductions. He was onto something big, wasn't he?
Yeah, heroin. Gonna crack it, too, he thought. Yeah, he thought.
I hope you don't mind our using your radio room like this, Bob.
Well, no, sir. Glad to see you on the team. When's Johnny reporting in from the car?
Should be any moment. He's watching Carter and McDonald, 2 of Tony's best boys.
Trying to make contact with Tony's lead, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Car 42 calling in. Car 42 calling in.
Come in, Pete.
You got Lee Masters there. Johnny Bridges wants to talk with him over.
Got him right here. Hold on. Okay, Lee, it's yours.
Thanks. Johnny?
Lee, we haven't got much. We're parked out of sight down here. Carter McDonald on the corner. I'm watching him like you said I should. This place was Tony's last connection with the drug boys, but nothing's happened so far. And those poor guys have been standing out in the rain for over 2 hours. Over.
Right. Now, you check that speakeasy again?
Yeah, Lee, nothing. Actually, Lee, we're in a bit of a fix. Carter McDonald don't know who Tony made contact with. It's like working in the dark. Over.
That's something I'm used to, Johnny. Now, listen. He was onto something. Heroin. Smoke. Someone was buying and squealing. Whoever squealed to Tony, if it happened that way, will still want his dough. Okay, keep looking, Johnny. Call me back in 20.
Okay, Lee, we'll call. Over and out.
You know, Bob, it's the wrong way round.
What is, Lee?
Who gets killed when someone squeals? The cop? Seldom. More often, the squealer by his own rats. But Tony gets slugged. He's a big boy in narcotics, well known. Why?
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Unless it... Oh, I don't know. I try to work it out since it happened. You got any hunches?
No hunches, Bob. A deduction. The beginnings of a deduction. At a tangent. A rather crazy tangent, Bob.
You are listening to The Smell of Death. Tonight's Sounds of Darkness brought to you by Goodyear, the greatest name in rubber.
Is McDonald on duty?
Yeah, Lee, he won't disturb us. You know, for someone so close to Tony, he seems mighty unconcerned.
Fatalist, maybe. They happen in our business.
Yeah. You want me to check the bookcase again? And what about telling me what we're looking for?
Now, just look for something small and innocent, Johnny.
Nothing.
Well, that painting's still in the middle of the wall. Tony always kept a painting. You know, reproduction, old master. In the middle wall of this apartment.
Yeah, it's still there.
Johnny, if you were trying to hide something small in this place, where would you do it?
Maybe behind that picture.
Help me get it down, will you?
No, nothing behind it, Lee.
Cardboard at the back.
Mm-hmm.
We press down like this. Yeah, slight flat projection. And a slit in the cardboard above it. Get it out for me, Johnny.
All right.
A diary?
Right.
All right, don't confirm it. He always kept a diary. Recorded his life in it, as it were. When Neil told me they'd found nothing, I... Read it to me, Johnny, slowly, from the beginning.
This one, Lee?
Mm-hmm.
24th. I saw him. I know him. Someone close to me. Carter and MacDonald weren't with me this night, nor on the others. But I have seen him.
That's interesting, Johnny. Very interesting. Now, here's a lesson in observation for you. Take a well-known date. Attach to it something you've read about. Think of someone who attracts to himself that which he fears most. And think of someone who goes beyond the meaning, the implication held in this diary.
Ooh, that's a real Lee Masters puzzle. But, hi.
What's going on here? Oh, it's so delighted. I thought maybe the place had been broken into, huh?
It's McDonald, isn't it?
Yeah. And you got permission to bust into my apartment, huh?
It was Tony's, too. Don't forget that. Sorry, McDonald, we were just putting out feelers.
Yeah, well, the guy's dead. Leave him be. All right, so we find his killer, then we think different. But leave him be. He was a great guy.
Yeah, he was. An unhappy man?
Unhappy? Well, who's happy? He's dead, that's all.
All right, McDonald. Sorry we broke in.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's all right. Forget it. I could do with a rye. You won't join me, huh?
No. We'll be going.
Look, the homicide was told someone was in the flat. This is before McDonald gets to you. 10 minutes after you leave, homicide arrives. Thinking maybe a mob was breaking up the place. Why didn't you get my permission first? What are you doing anyway? Casing the joint?
Like we told McDonald. Just checking, Neil.
Well, don't check without me in future, get it?
Why so angry, Neil? Obsessed by something?
I don't like being roasted by a half-baked, trumped-up chief of homicide, that's why. Well?
Well, what, Neil? You know, you're confusing poor Sam.
Aren't you gonna apologize or something?
All right, I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I guess you meant well, Lee, but for heaven's sake, let me know what you're doing, will you?
Why didn't you phone through to me, Neil? here at the office?
Because I wanted to have it out with you myself. In person. I know you're the great Lee Masters, but to me, sometimes you're just a...
Yeah?
No, you're a great guy, Lee. I'm sorry. I'm a bit head up about Tony's death. The break he was waiting for that just hasn't broken. I guess I've forgotten, too, how you work. I'm sorry.
Forget it. No news from Carter or McDonald?
Oh, no, nothing at all. You sending Johnny out with him again?
Yeah, tonight. If it's okay with you.
I said I'm sorry. Don't rub it in.
Lee, maybe Neil can explain the diary we found. Lee?
Yeah. Neil, I was going to tell you about that. We found a diary in Tony's flat.
You said you weren't in there looking for anything, Lee?
I wasn't looking for it. I knew it would be there. But there's nothing in it, really. Just a half page toward the end. Something about dates, seeing someone.
I better take it with me, I guess.
I'll give it to him, Johnny. No, let me. Here, Neil.
Thanks.
Your hand's shaking, Neil. You mustn't lose your temper so much.
I'm getting on, that's all. Palsy, you know. I'll hand this over to Baker, homicide, when I've gone through it.
You do that, Neil.
Okay, then I'll be going. I'm sorry I bit your head off, Lee.
Well, it's still there on my shoulders.
Yeah. So long.
Well?
Did I make a boo-boo giving him the diary?
He's FBI, assistant head of narcotics. Wants to find Tony's killer. Wants Tony's contacts followed up. What do you think?
Lee, and I don't know much about psychology, but that was an unnatural reaction of his. He's been dealing with the street cops for years, so?
Or perhaps he is getting old and palsied, as he said.
I was thinking about that conundrum you told me.
Oh, yeah?
Something I read about. Now, what's of particular interest recently? The Strangler. That's step one. A psychopathic killer may attract to himself what he fears most, being found out. Or the man who's able to find him out. So
Yeah, keep going, Johnny.
Yeah, now, someone who seems beyond the meaning of the dates in the diary. Someone untouchable. Someone not connected with the 24th. The 24th of the last 4 months. Someone known to Tony Carpetti, seen by Tony Carpetti, on the nights he was out on narcotics, but Lee, it can't be. It can't be.
Mania is not found as often as we like to think, Johnny. Pure obsessional mania, that is, without a schizoid imprint.
Yeah, tension, irrationality, psychopathic mania.
Johnny, what are you getting at?
It all points to one man, Sam. The man who shouldn't be suspected. The man who killed those people and Tony Carpetti. Neil Bates.
What?
Who killed Tony because somehow Tony had found out.
Are you out of your mind, Johnny? We've known Neil for years. Oh, Neil Bates, the famous strangler. Oh, nonsense.
Well, Johnny, you're doing all right. Except for one thing.
Yeah?
The Strangler hasn't killed again. Think about that while Sam gets me a number. Sam?
Uh-huh.
McDonald and Carter, Tony's takers. I'm going to ask them to meet us tonight. Then I'll ring Neil Bates. He'll be along, too.
You're aiming for a dramatic showdown, Lee? With those two along to help? Well, we can do it on our own.
Get me that number, Sam.
Right.
Well, I'm waiting, Johnny, for someone to react. That's all. It'll happen tonight.
Can you beat it? Neil Bates. Well, if he confesses with Carter and McDonald as witnesses, you've got him sewn up.
All right, Lee, let's get on with it.
Well, you'll wonder why I called you here tonight. And why here. Sense of the dramatic, I suppose. I know who killed Carpetti. At least I think I know. I could be wrong.
Not you, Lee.
Tony was a friend of mine. He wasn't onto anything big. He wasn't going to break a case like Neil here thinks.
Oh, what was he up to then? Did he have to drag us down here to this warehouse to play the brain, Lee?
Tony was up to something in a way. He knew what was going on.
What was that, Mr. Masters?
He knew who the Strangler was. The Strangler who's been filling the city of New York with fear for the last 4 months. That's why he died. You, McDonald, you, Carter, or you, Neil. Who killed Carpetti? Do you want me to tell you, or will you tell me?
Now, look here, Lee. This has gone on long enough. Johnny, he's going for his gun.
Leave him, Johnny.
You little rundown.
You shut up, Neil.
He was going for his gun, Lee. I was reaching for my handkerchief. You were what?
It wasn't your fault, Johnny. I let you deduce a few things, but perhaps you don't know Dr. Lincoln, and that makes a difference. The answer to the poser? First, who killed on the 24th of the last 4 months? I'll tell you. Tony Carpetti.
What? Oh, Lee, all these...
Isn't that right, McDonald?
Yeah. I heard some outside. I better go check. You see, well, you know.
Yeah. Look within a dead man, Johnny. Tony was the killer.
But who killed Tony? The diary, the evidence, Neil here?
Sometimes a psychopathic personality knows what he's done, though he feels no guilt. And such a personality can develop late in life. Lincoln again. Tony kept a diary. He knew he was an insane killer. The him referred to in his diary, himself. His other killing self.
Yeah, Lee, but that still doesn't explain what
Think of someone who might have been tainted, who feared in himself what Tony was doing. Tony, his blood relative.
MacDonald.
And there dies your killer. Don't ask me how he found out about his half-brother, but he did. And maybe he killed in self-defense. It was the 24th, remember? Maybe a mercy killing.
Yeah, but Lee, why kill himself now? He could have stood trial, got off.
Fear, Neil, of what he might one day do. All right, let's go collect the body. Oh, tell me, you don't happen to smell something like burnt milk, do you?
So ends tonight's Sounds of Darkness, presented for your entertainment by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, makers of world-famous passenger tires, truck, and tractor tires for every requirement in South Africa's farming, commerce, and industry. Join us next Friday and every Friday night at 9:30 when Goodyear will again present the blind detective Lee Masters in The Sounds of Darkness.
From Hollywood, welcome to Starlight Mystery Theater and another episode in the series, Matthew Slade, Private Investigator. We invite you to take your seat as Slade unfolds Passage to Tangier.
In my job, the hours are odd. So are the circumstances and the people I meet. You could even call some of them dangerous. My calling card reads, Matthew Slade, Private Investigator.
Allah, Allah,
ancient history peers over your 20th century shoulder. Land of the unusual, of white walled-in cities with narrow terraced streets, dotted with forlorn, desolate beggars, of bazaars where you can barter for anything from fine silks to an evil eye. Land of the wandering street vendor, hawking grilled camel liver, sticky sweets, and hot mint tea. Morocco. Land of the broiling African sun. Land of mystery. Intrigue. Up until its independence in 1956, Morocco was split into 3 zones: French, Spanish, and the international zone of Tangier. That's where I was sent to meet them. At my office in San Francisco, I'd received an envelope postmarked Kashmir. Inside were 5 $1,000 bills, an airline ticket, and a note that read, "Your services required immediately. Enclosed part payment. Kindly meet us on the 23rd instant. Hotel Carthage, 14 Place Malakoff, Tangier." It was signed, Mr. Peters and Associates. It was now the 25th. I'd arrived in Tangier 2 days ago and checked into the hotel as directed. There was no Mr. Peters registered, nor was one expected. I waited 3 more days. Still no Mr. Peters. It was the 28th. I was in the Carthage bar sampling a brandy, lime, and soda. A bellhop handed me a telegram. It, too, had been sent from Kashmir. It read, "Unfortunate delay. Stop. Arriving tomorrow, the 29th. Stop. Mr. Peters and Associates." I downed the last of the brandy and soda, winked at a cute-looking French girl sitting alone at the bar, and then retired to my room. I'd been in bed about 2 hours. Suddenly, the lights went on. I turned my head, looking up into the muzzle of a Webley automatic.
"Hi, sir. I'm Mr. Peters."
Mr. Peters. Short, overly large. He wore an outdated, double-breasted white suit, the kind they make up in Hong Kong for $10. He wore a fez. From behind thick, black, horn-rimmed glasses popped huge brown eyes. Over by the door stood a tall, lean, good-looking man of about 55. He was decked out in a British officer's uniform.